Last night, the president took apart, he made an enemies list. Bankers, capitalists, anybody who makes money because they were greedy. That's what it was. And in part, that's true. Greed in all of us. That's what got us into this mess. Well, he says, I'm going to get every penny back from those greedy bankers. And most people cheer, as I do. I didn't want them to get the money in the first place. Got it? We're on the same page. The problem is, it can get really muddy here because most people don't understand what the problem was or who the bad guys really even are. It's one thing to say, oh, it's greedy bankers. Well, what really happened? Let me show you. Let's go over some of the evil people from the State of the Union speech. At least some of the evil people. I'm going to skip me, and I think Hannity and Bill O'Reilly, the evil TV pundits that the president pointed out during the State of the Union speech. Let's go right to the part where he talks about the banks.
I refuse to let America go back to the culture of irresponsibility and greed that made it possible. Back to an economy with soaring CEO salaries and shrinking middle-class incomes. Back to the days when banks made reckless decisions that hurt Wall Street and Main Street alike. But today, those same banks are once again making billions in profits and on track to hand out more money in bonuses than ever before, while the American people are still in a world of hurt.
The people on Wall Street still don't get it. They don't get it.
Oh boy, they sure don't. They seriously, they don't get it. They don't get it. And Barack Obama knows about not getting it. After all, he's still going after health care reform because he believes, the only reason why we don't like it is because he hasn't said it enough, or he hasn't said it loud enough. But I digress. Back to the evil banks and bankers. Can we do that?
You guys are drawing down $10, $20 million bonuses after America went through the worst economic year that it's gone through in decades. And you guys caused the problem. And we got 10% unemployment. Why do you think people might be a little frustrated?
Okay, now don't confuse those evil bonuses with the millions of dollars of good bonuses received by Fannie and Freddie, the executives there after their $110 billion bailout. That there seems to be no frustration from politicians over that one. And don't forget or confuse those really greedy bonuses with the bonuses that the government guaranteed to the executives if they would just come in and help the government clean up the mess in some of these banks and work some of them for a full year for $1 and then be demonized for asking for the payment. No. Let's just talk about the bad bonuses, like bonuses at Goldman Sachs, because everybody knows that Goldman Sachs, well, they're evil.
The J.P. Morgans or the Goldman Sachs or these companies that have been called too big to fail, well, you know what? If you're that big, then you better have a whole bunch of safeguards so that we don't have to bail you out if you make bad mistakes.
Okay, I got it now. Fat cats, Wall Street bankers. Ask anyone on earth and they'll tell you the biggest fat cats on the Wall Street bankers, the biggest fish in that evil sea is Goldman Sachs. They're the worst of the worst. I need you to pay attention here for just a second because I'm going to show you we're going to make this the problem. And on the other board, when we come back, I'm going to show you the solution. Now, the banks, Goldman Sachs, all these fat cats getting fatter, gorging themselves on you, the unexpected public. You were told that, well, you could buy. Now, who told you? You could buy a house for more than you could afford. Who told you that? The government did. George Bush was one of them. He told you that. Got it? Because of politics, he and Barney Frank and all that, they were tricking you into borrowing with predatory loans from the banks. But there's some other people here, see, because they repossessed the homes when the inevitable mortgage defaults came. More and more loans were given by banks to those people who couldn't afford them. Some of them didn't even have to prove ID. So whose job is it to mind the store here, to oversee these banks, see what's going on? Where was everyone? I know that I was saying 2, 3, 4 years ago, this doesn't make any sense. Please, please don't do this. Don't take out these loans because they're going to create a housing bubble here and it's going to burst. I was called crazy and all kinds of names for even bringing it up. Okay, all right. I was called crazy because nobody else was talking about it. Whose job was it to protect this before it all melted down? The Federal Reserve. See, that's their job. Their job is to protect the economy. Well, what were they doing at the time? Well, they were working with this guy, and they were lowering rates. They were making it easier to get money. Making it easier, they took money and made it less cheap, made it more enticing, and they gave it to these people, and they gave it to these people. Got it? All while Alan Greenspan is on record blaming China. When he's saying it's China, it's China, it's China. Renowned economist Anna Schwartz said, there has never been a subprime mortgage crisis if the Fed had been alert. This is something Alan Greenspan must answer for. Well, he had to have some pretty good advisors around, right? I mean, Alan Greenspan, he's no dummy. The Greenspan had a bunch of advisors. He does. He has a bunch of people. They have a bunch of chairs. They have 12 Fed chairs all around the country. And really smart people sit in these Fed chairs, and they oversee things like Goldman Sachs. They oversee Citigroup or Bank of America. That's their job. In fact, the guy who sat in one of these chairs, the Fed chair, the New York Fed chair, it was his job under Alan Greenspan to watch these guys, to make sure that everything was on the up and up, make sure nothing is wrong. The Fed's only job is to stand as a sentinel to guard against nefarious bankers. Greenspan's job was to guard the economy of the United States. That's his job. Now, while all these banks and Goldman Sachs are coming up with things I can't even explain to you, they can't. CDOs, Greenspan and the rest of them, they didn't see it coming. No. They didn't see it coming. So if I left the story like this, I would have to say I agree with the president, because they just didn't see it coming. They didn't know. They had no idea. Maybe that guy should have known, but how did he know? And this guy? Well, I don't know. But it was really these guys pumping it out. Right? Right? Well, when I come back in a second, I'm going to show you the solution that the president is working on. And I'm going to fill out some of these chairs and some of these other things. And you tell me if the solution sounds like a solution or another problem. Next.